Island. And today, Jails Action Coalition and Whole Solitary stand before you with others to say, do not let DOC ban love. I don't think y'all heard me. We are out here today to let DOC know they cannot ban love in New York City on Valentine's Day, a day that is supposed to be a reminder of how we are supposed to love and support each other, show empathy and compassion.
Well, let's all say it then.
On the count of three, we will all say, don't let DOC ban love, because the elder has spoken. 1, 2, 3. Don't let DOC ban love. Okay, we're going to do that one more time, and we're going to all be on one accord, because I don't think DOC on the Board of Corrections heard us. 1, 2, 3. Don't let DOC ban love. And you know, so often we come out here. So often we have to ask advocates to show up. So often we have to ask loved ones to show up. Why? Because DOC continues to chip away at the heart of the constituents detained. DOC continues to chip away at the love from the support of those in the community that still hold on to those behind the walls detained. And we say no more. We say don't let DOC ban love. And we're going to start out strong today. And I'm inviting Brad Lander, the New York City comptroller, to come up and tell us why it's important that we do not allow DOC to ban love. Brad Lander?
Right. That's all right. Oh, good. Oh, yeah, sorry. All good. Sorry. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Oh, you know, we're out here on Valentine's Day, and so we're making a little light, but this is deadly serious. What the Board of Corrections is being asked to do, what they are considering doing, denying to folks who are detained on Rikers Island the opportunity to have a note or a letter or a card from a loved one, but to cruelly, with profit to a private vendor, turn it into a digital file that you could look at on a tablet, that you would also be being sold additional services to. It is appalling. It will not make Rikers safer. If anything, it might make it less safe. What it will do is add profit to a private vendor already profiting on Rikers Island. And it will, on Valentine's Day of all days, further dehumanize a set of people who need love and care. Now, one thing to say about Valentine's Day is, I don't know about you, but if your Valentine buys you a card, I think it's telling you something different than if they just text you a Bitmoji. And that's just one sign. I'll give you another. You know, I keep this drawing that my daughter made on my desk. Okay, it's a drawing of Prospect Park, of the Celebrate Brooklyn concert series, and she drew it for me during the pandemic when this concert series was canceled, and she knew that I was feeling isolated and alone and depressed. And I was not detained or locked up at the time. I was just isolated in my room. And so what did my daughter do for me? She drew me this picture of better times that let me think, you know what, we're going to get back out there. We're going to connect with other people. And when I am down and depressed and feeling isolated, I take a look at it. Now, I could digitize it and have it as a file on my phone or iPad, but I don't. I have it as a drawing on my desk. And I bet you do too. I bet you've got a card on your nightstand or a letter a loved one wrote you. And if you're anything like me, that's something that you hold on to in your lowest moments. So let's think about a set of folks who are being detained awaiting trial at Rikers Island, being isolated from their loved ones at their lowest moment, many of them already in mental health crisis, why on earth would the Department of Correction propose and the Board of Correction consider taking away that card, that letter, that photo, that picture that is a little connection to somebody on the outside that helps ground you in that time? I'm not aware of a study that takes a look at what difference it makes to have mail, a card, a photo, but you don't need to be a researcher to know it is a part of what grounds us and what keeps us human. And we will not make Rikers Island safer by taking it away. We will just further deteriorate the mental health of folks at their moment of crisis. Now, I do want to say a couple of other things, because I want to talk about what is not driving this and what is driving it. Let's be clear that what's not driving it is any meaningful approach to public safety. Study after study by the Department of Investigation and others have shown that drugs and contraband do not come onto Rikers Island in any meaningful way through the mail. They come in through guards, they come in through contractors, and until recently, BOC hasn't even considered doing anything about searching and screening guards when they come in. The idea that the mail is laced with fentanyl, it does not pass scrutiny. It doesn't rise to the level of credibility. This will not make Rikers Island safer. So what is driving it? I think it's pretty clear that what is driving it is Securus, a private vendor looking to make more money. So this is a vendor that the city is already paying to provide phone service on Rikers, and thanks to legislation that the city council passed when I was honored to be a council member there, the city pays rather than detainees themselves. And even despite that, even despite DOC paying for that contract, that private for-profit vendor, Securus, leaked thousands of phone calls between detainees and their lawyers. They have already shown themselves not to adequately protect and guard the privacy of people and their own conversations with their lawyers. So what do? They look for a way to make more money. So now they say, let's put tablets in the hands of folks awaiting trial. And while some services will be free, not all services are free. So if you go, you could text 120 characters for free, but if you text 121 characters, you are going to have to pay Securus. They're going to offer to vend you video content, entertainment, and now, lo and behold, because other states are doing it, they say, you know what, Department of Corrections, if you pay us more, we'll take a problem you didn't even know you had, because let's remember, every single letter is being opened by correction officers, so nothing is getting to detainees without being open. But nonetheless, what Securus proposes is pay us, we'll digitize the mail and email it to people. Don't worry, you can trust us, the same folks who leaked those thousands of phone calls between people and their lawyers. We sure won't take those searchable digital files and leak them up to the web. So DOC will be exposed to privacy violations and open to litigation and liability as a result. People will be deprived of their mail. Nothing will be safer at Rikers. The only folks who will be better off are Securus from the money that they will be paid as a result of this needless, heartless, cruel service that our city does not need and should not pay Securus to provide. Is that right?
That's right. You know that's right.
So, what I just want to ask the Department of Correction, the Board of Correction folks, to think about as they're making this decision is just think about that card or that picture or that photo that you have on your nightstand or that you have on your desk. And think about the person that sent it to you and ask what they would want you to do. Would they want you to vote in favor of this and allow a private for-profit company to profit further by denying detainees that card, that photo, that picture? I really don't think they would. Thank you guys all very much for being here. Don't let DOC ban love. We're going to insist the Board of Correction do the right thing here.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you so much. Yes. And we welcome the comptroller Blair. I remember when you was a council member, always showing up and supporting the people, and now that's right. Black and brown people are not revenue for New York City. Let's be clear on this. And in 2018, we got Securus out. That's the bill he was mentioning. And it went into effect May 1st, 2019. All phone calls free on Rikers and the boat. And we will not go backwards. We are in 2023. We are standing strong. We will make sure our community members have access to everything that they're supposed to have access to on domestic soil. And let me also add to something the comptroller said. He mentioned those thousands of phone calls that the privacy was broken between lawmakers and detainees. But what you don't realize as people is that wasn't the only calls that was violated. Clergy calls, doctor calls that are supposed to be omitted from the recording was also violated, and they must be held accountable at all times. And I just want to, hold on 1 second, I got excited, my phone closed. So I want to address something. Human connection and mental health. These proposed variances today will deny people in custody access to correspondence from their loved ones, further fraying the social bonds that are necessary for people's mental health. And I don't think we really understand what that means, because so often DOC and our big bully Mayor Adams will show up and tell people how they're supposed to be positive in the community. But how can you be positive if you're losing your contact or your support system? If access to your loved ones or even your children, the comptroller showed up a picture. How many children want to draw a picture for their loved ones behind the walls? How many loved ones want to send out something to their children without it being disturbed by securists? And let me, as a brain surgeon, I have to add this fact. When are we going to address people that are being detained with their disabilities? How many people still have a literacy issue right now that we know of? And people in the housing unit actually read their letters to them to help them? Or how many people have issues with their eyesight? And what does that look like when you're being forced to only utilize a tablet when you cannot? These are things that DOC are not concerned with, but these are things that we all must be concerned with, because these are our community members that are being detained. I don't want to hold up too much time. The next person I want to bring up is Marco, who is formerly incarcerated, directly impacted, a staff member at the Mental Health Project, and a Freedom Agenda. Where you at, Marco? Come on up. And a Freedom Agenda member. So give Marco the floor. Thank you.
Thank you. I couldn't say it best for you and the controller.
I love you.
I'm a criminal justice advocate with the Urban Justice Center Mental Health Project. Louder? I don't really say it
Act
loud.
like you talking to police.
Nah, not that. I did 24 years and 6 months. I'm also a veteran, and can y'all hear me? All right. So I can't understand the fact that you're taking the mail away, right? But why you not addressing the underlying issues? Why people not getting treatment for substance use? And if you didn't have a substance use disorder when you were outside, when you went in there, you definitely did for the trauma you go through. So where's the programs? Where's the therapeutic programs? That's what they should be addressing, so people don't have to submit to self-medication. During my time in incarceration, my lifeline was my visits, my phone calls, and my mail. There's no way I'd be here standing here today if I didn't have those three. And the mailing, as some speakers spoke about, it meant so much to me and others, because you could touch it. And I'm going to show you something here that I kept it since 2008, my daughter. And whenever I got mail, letters, I smelled it. It smelled like her, or it smelled like my mom. And whenever I felt at the lowest point of either giving up or just in deep depression, I open up the letter or the card and I just read it, look at the picture, my little daughter. Oh, she's grown up now. And it just kept me going. I can't picture myself, especially, well, the texting thing, I'm not even used to it still. People texting. I've been away for that long. But just reading it through a tablet is not the same as just holding it with your hands, knowing that somebody loves you. You know, we talk about not banning love. Love does conquer all, because I would have never made it through all those years. And I wish that they could come up with another solution. There is a solution. It's just that docs wants to control. They talk about care, custody, control. There's no care. There's no care in docs. They just want that control and make other people suffer so they can react, because it's a business. Once you don't get rehabilitation, you're going to come right back into the system. And they just simply don't care. We go on and on about whole solitary. We talk about the abuses that's going on, the lack of staff, and nothing is being done. And I hope the BOC really get their act together, and especially the mayor, and ban this variance. I don't know anything else to say.
Well, you said what you.
Thank you so much. And listen, I go once and twice to Rikers Island a week. As a monitor of discharge planning services for people with severe mental illness. And I tell the men and women what we're doing. And they're so grateful that you're all here, and I thank all of you for being here.
Show them the card.
Oh, and I thank them for being here. And they really know that we're fighting for them, and it breaks my heart when I have to leave out of there, believe it or not, because I see not many people most people shouldn't even be there in Rikers Island. Which especially those with mental health conditions and substance use. I want to get emotional, but I'll stop here.
That's all right. We got love for you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Marco. Thank you, Marco. Thank you. Don't let DOC ban love. It might sound cliche, but that's exactly what we need in this world today. We need more love, less evil. We need more love, even when we're talking about how to treat DOC. Because if we don't show them compassion and true leadership, how can we expect them to give our detained community members what they truly deserve? So we're not here to bash anyone, we're here to hold you all accountable. And there's a difference, a big difference.
There is connection. People over profit.
The variances today will not actually make DOC facilities safer. In fact, they may make them less safe. The vast majority of male-centered people in jail is not soaked in deadly drugs or designed to be weaponized. This is a false argument. And let me, before I introduce the next person, actually say this out loud. In 2021, I actually asked the Board of Corrections, the chair, how is it that drugs was rapidly going throughout the island, and the island had been closed to all public for 1 year? And now they stand here and they want to hold the public accountable for what they fall short of holding their officers accountable for. We say no more. You will not destroy families, homes, and communities because you can't do your job as a leader in DOC. We say no more. I want to bring up the next person. Anna Pastoriza. Did I say it right? I always mess up, but it's all with love. Come on up here and say your name correctly. Who is also a member of the Freedom Agenda family. We all out here today for love. Anna, say your name correctly. I'm sorry.
No worries. Hello everyone, my name is Anna Pastoressa. I am a member of Freedom Agenda. I'm here because my son was incarcerated on Rikers Island for 6 years waiting for trial. The mail was the most important thing to keep us going for 6 years, but it wasn't just the mail it's not just the mail that DOC is trying to control and deteriorate and digitalize. They're also trying to block packages from coming in.
That's right.
And I remember when I went there every week for 6 years, I used to bring clean laundry for my son so that he could have hygiene, because it's very hard on Rikers Island to wash your own clothes. There are no washing machines and no dryers, and there is very limited soap and very limited hygienic items. So he told me, and I knew that all of them were washing their clothes. Imagine washing jeans, sweatshirts, sweatpants in the shower with your own soap bar that you wash yourself with. You're washing your clothes. What does that mean? That the clothes don't really come out clean. You cannot squeeze them dry. So, and the whole bathroom, day room, bunk beds, they have clothing hanging, jeans, sweatshirts, sweatpants hanging to dry for days. It takes days to dry. The clothes smell like mildew, and then they have to wear them again. Okay, so we, mothers, sisters, family members that went to Rikers pre-COVID, we were bringing clean laundry. My son was so happy about the visit because not only would hug me, talk to me, hold hands, but then he would go pick up clean clothes from the counter, and he would tell me about the clean clothes that you bring me, they smell like home. I can smell you. I would even leave my dog hair on it on purpose so that he would even feel his own puppy dog. And he was so happy. Like, we try to clean hair off, he would want the dog hair on because he felt he was getting a little piece of home, scent of home, clean clothes to keep his dignity. And everybody else that I saw in the visit was doing the same thing. We would bring clean clothes, warm clothes for those infamous winters on Rikers where you don't have enough warm blankets and clothes. I would bring socks. Sometimes I would bring extra so that he would give to the other people that were incarcerated who didn't have visits. And that was so important, that blocking packages, you're blocking laundry, you're blocking hygiene, you're blocking dignity from these people to receive clean clothes from home. Also, at the end of the visit, we would line up visitors to another counter to pick up the dirty laundry so that we would wash and bring it back. And sometimes we would bring back extra things that we would buy in different stores, like socks, undergarments. Now, if you are going to block this, you're going to block people from doing laundry, from staying clean, from having dignity, from smelling good, and you're just gonna see a scene of horror of dirty, halfway clean, not even pretty clean clothes hanging everywhere, stinking everywhere, with flies in the summer months that would fly and buzz around the dirty clothes hanging. What is that? The facilities are already decrepit, falling apart. They are already infamous just to be there. And these are people who are innocent until proven guilty. These are people waiting for trial, and you are denying them from receiving mail, from their constitutional rights to receive mail and correspond with their family and friends. And on top of that, you are denying clothes, warm clothes, clean clothes, and you are expecting families to waste money to feed these big vendors to get the clothes over there. So you're punishing everybody before trial? How dare you, DOC? Who are you to punish families and people who are only waiting for trial? You are punishing the innocent until proven guilty. And that is very wrong, and all we're waiting for is a bunch of lawsuits. So DOC, say no to this variant. It is completely unacceptable, undignifying, and disgusting that they even think about it, because they think about it to accommodate their own selfish needs. They are not accommodating anybody else but themselves, and that is appalling, disgusting, and that has to stop today. Thank you.
And we appreciate Anna, a mother, speaking her truth. And before I introduce the next person, let me just add to that. When we have to buy packages from vendors, it takes away from our resources in our own homes. Many New Yorkers are struggling as it is. We're coming out of a pandemic. Are we not, or are we still in it? I don't know. But we have all been impacted some way or another over the last 2 to 3 years behind this pandemic. And one thing we do not need in our communities is being forced to utilize a vendor when we can go to the discount store and buy whatever our loved one detained might need that fits our budget, that does not harm our households. And DOC is saying that is unacceptable. We say no to bullies. We say no to any variance that tears apart our homes and destroys our support system for our loved ones. That's right. And I want to bring forward someone who also is directly impacted, a vocal member, Eileen. I mess up everybody's name. But let me tell you something. You can have a disability and still do public speaking. Do not allow mess ups to silence you, just like we will not allow bullies to silence us. So Eileen Meyer from Vocal, come on up here and speak your truth.
Hi everyone. I had prepared a long-ish thing to say, but I'm not going to say most of that. My name is Eileen Marr, and I'm a civil rights union leader at Vocal New York. I'm also a member of Freedom Agenda. I'm formerly incarcerated, and I spent 420 days on Rikers Island before I went upstate. My letters and my packages and the cards I received from my family and friends were, I still have them. They're the only thing other than legal papers that I kept when I came home. I sent them home so I would have them, so if I had to, look back, if someone was no longer with us on earth, that I would have them. That was one of the reasons. A dear friend of mine did 17 years, and one thing he always told me was look at the moon when I was free, before I was incarcerated, because we're both looking at the same moon, and that way we're both free. So that's why I wear the moon at all times, and I still have that letter. And when I was incarcerated later on, I wrote the same thing on the bottom of my letters to him and to other people. And if I didn't have that letter, he's no longer with us. If he didn't have my letters, if I didn't have his letters from my family and friends, my pictures of my family, my pictures of my nieces, pictures that they colored for me, I don't know what I would have done. I would have lost my mind, literally and figuratively. So this whole package thing is bull. First of all, the contraband is not coming in through the packages and the visits and all that. It's coming in through the officers. Yeah, they're going to turn the mag on, turn the metal detector on, but that doesn't mean, one, they're going to acknowledge it when it starts ringing like Christmas, or two, they're just going to shut it off after a few days, especially now since they don't want to release their videotapes to the Board of Corrections. So, two, this is just another way for DOC to make money off of our backs, off of people who do not have practically any money, their backs, and to further dehumanize and criminalize people who are not even convicted of anything yet. Parents, brothers, sisters, mothers. So all I can say is that the Board of Correction, please do not vote yes on this stupid package ban and letter scanning nonsense, because it's just bull. Thank you.
Eileen said she kept something from a friend. And the friend went on to do 17 years? My goodness. Marco showed something that his daughter sent from 2008. My goodness. This is history. This is people's real lives that was impacted while they were detained, and they had a piece of love. This is all ridiculous. This is all a shame. This is all part of the barbaric system that our detained community members have to endure on a daily basis. We're hurt that they can't get mail appropriately. We're hurt that they can't get packages appropriately. But they are in this environment 24/7. If we think this is barbaric, imagine having to deal with the officers on every tour, every day, in every way. There are so many other things that we could be standing out here right now demanding. But instead, we have to fight for basic constitutional rights. Right. On domestic soil. How dare we have to stand up and fight for our constitutional rights? By law enforcement agencies, paramilitary agencies. They're supposed to know, obey, and follow the law at all times. You can clap for that. The next person is Olga Delgado, another Freedom Agenda member. All right, Freedom Agenda showed up today. Come on, Olga.
Good afternoon. I'm Olga Delgado. I'm here to represent the people in Rikers. It's very hard to stay connected with our loved ones when they are at Rikers. So anyway, we can do that like through mail, and packages should be protected. New York State has already limited package and is causing a lot of hardship for families and incarcerated people. As it is being a burden. Upstate already, it's very hard. New York City should not follow. The cost to order on private vendors are double the cost. Then going to the store and get it yourself. Some families are older women and men who don't have access or are not able to use internet. Buying with private vendor is not a good idea. Sometimes the food gets perished by the time it gets there. And we families lost our money. And when they make these changes, people suffer from both sides, like my daughter-in-law. New York City should not follow.
Take your time, Olga. Thank you. Take your time.
The board, correction, should not vote no on this proposal to limit mail and packages. New York City should not follow. This is a constitution law. New York City should not follow. Vote no.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. I just want to give a shout out to the Public Advocate's Office and the representatives that they sent today. Thank you, Olga. Remember, tell your electeds we must pass Intro 549 because imagine being placed in solitary. You didn't get no tablet. I don't care what DOC says. You're not going to have access to any mail. You're not going to have access to any loved ones. Let's keep it real on accountability. So shout out to Public Advocate's Office, Intro 549. And lastly, I just want to say before I bring up the last speaker. Yeah, I know it's the last speaker. My girl. Before I bring up the last speaker, I just want to remind everybody walking by that DOC will not be banding love today. We say don't let DOC band love. 1, 2, 3. Don't let DOC band love. 1, 2, 3. Don't let DOC band love. And the next person I want to bring up is Ashley Comrade, also a family member of the Freedom Agenda, and she's going to speak on how this directly impacts her. Stick around, pay attention to her truth as well. Come on, Ashley.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Ashley. I'm a community organizer with Freedom Agenda, and I have a 21-year-old nephew who is currently on Rikers Island. I usually come to these so prepared to talk with notes, but today I'm angry, not only at the fact that they're trying to ban mail, but on the day that this vote is going to come, that this variance is going to come to a vote, they have limited our ability to speak on this inhumane variance that would hurt so many people by only allowing 6 people to testify today. If that is not so blatantly clear on how they're trying to limit what is said, I don't know what is. My nephew is autistic and also suffers from DMDD, which is dysregulation mood disruption disorder. Staying in contact with my nephew for my family and I is imperative, especially when he lives on a hellhole where even just going a week without hearing from him, our minds go to the worst place possible. Not only is keeping mail something a part of his life that is imperative, it's like Anna said, packages. That's right. Rikers Island is on an emitting landfill where and nothing is up to date. So that means it's frigid winters and it's blistering summers. Packages like sweatpants, long johns, underwear, clean things. My nephew is autistic. That means he is sensitive to textures, sounds. He can at any moment be overly stimulated, and that is something we have to constantly think about. During these times as well, when my nephew is in deep distress, he has been pepper sprayed. So I say all this to just say, as many have said today, male variants or not, drugs are going to get to Rikers Island. I assure you, pounds of K2 are not coming through letters from loved ones. So, as everyone has said today, I won't keep you much longer. Make sure BOC does not let DOC pass this male variance that would be inhumane and would ultimately keep no one on Rikers Island safe. Thank you.
Thank you, Ashley. And Ashley touched on some of them disabilities I was mentioning earlier with people that are actually detained. But I want to close by reminding everyone that the BOC is fully staffed now, I think. Are they not? And so they have enough leg room, enough power, enough backbone to stand up today to DOC and let them know the board should not empower DOC to violate basic standards for privacy, civil rights, and good government. And we say, as New Yorkers on domestic soil, we will not let DOC bear love today nor any other day, this year nor any other year, because we are the people. Peace and blessings. Now go sign up so we can speak.
Might be some questions.
Any questions for the comptroller? Come on, celebrity. Come on.
Let's hear it for Dr. Vito.
Excellent. Answer the question.
All right.
Come up here,
Yeah, so we have not seen this contract. There was a news story yesterday in which a reporter seems to have gotten it, but it has not been given to the controller's office. And let's also be clear, what we're talking about here is it seems to be a sole source contract normally, and that's how you know that it's being driven by the vendor and not actually by government goals or needs, right? If DOC had thought this was a plan of ours, they would have issued a request for proposals. They would have collected bids, but that's not what is happening here. What's happening here, we think, because we haven't seen it, is that a vendor who's selling this service to jails and prison systems in other states and cities has come to DOC and said, hey, I got something new to sell you. And that's why, you can't have, in addition to everything else, there's no reason not to believe that we're being overcharged for this service we don't need to have because, it's sole sourced rather than bid out. And yes, in addition, the fact that they are limiting the access of people to testify at this hearing, and then limiting access of the board to critical oversight information that the board needs, and failing to provide the non-existent RFP or the contract language to the controller's office or to the Board of Correction. Part of what we asked the BOC to do is, if they're not ready today just to permanently reject this variance, at a bare minimum, table this until DOC brings them the contract. There's a lot in here that's critical. Exactly how much would be charged, what services you'd have to pay for once those tablets are in your hand. You're going to have to pay more, if you get 2 pages of mail instead of 1 page of mail. What accountability is there if it's late? One thing that we've heard about in other places is that it stacks up. The scanning doesn't get done. It's Valentine's Day. You're not actually going to get your Valentine until next week or the week after. Would Securus have any accountability for timely delivery of the mail? All of these things are unknown because they haven't provided a transparent contract. Thank you.
Thank you. Right. Any others?